Hi, and welcome to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation focused on youth mental health. Before we begin today's episode, I just wanted to let you all know that all content that is found in our podcast is created for informational purposes only. This content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or therapy. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard in this podcast. Thank you so much, and without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving. This is your host, Punam here. If you remember, we started a new series, and if you haven't checked out, please do go back and check it out. But today we have a very interesting episode, a very fascinating one. Decoding your brain, neuroscience driven insights for personal growth. We are exploring how understanding our own brain and your children's can lead to a healthier habit, better decision making, and more empowered living. And to guide us through this brain based journey, we are honored to welcome Dr. Sweta, a neurologist and author of Future Ready Now. Her work combines science and soul to help us understand how our brain shape the way we learn, grow, and lead. Dr. Shweta, welcome. We are so
Thank
excited
you so
about
much.
you. Yep, your expertise, your wisdom. Let's get started. The top of mind is, what does neuroscience tell us about personal growth?
Beautiful. Let's go back to my story. I like to tell stories. So I come from a medical fraternity background. Both my parents were medical, almost into medical fields. My dad's an anesthetist and my mom was a pharmacist, and then she was teaching pharmacy. So now coming and then obviously having 13 years of medical schooling, lots of gold medals and lots of accolades, and then working with top institutions. I was working with United Nations, everything going very well intellectually, super good, all the best things that one can ask for. And then one tragedy, and then my life turns upside down. So I had a very, very dear friend, very close friend. We literally grew up together, she and me. She went into marketing, I went into medicine, but very close. She was almost like a sister, and a very strong bond, almost inseparable kind of a bond. And 25 years later, we separate, and this separation was extremely painful for me. It was like a blow to my emotional self. I could not come out of this rumination that why could she leave me, or what happened, how can I fix it, how can I go back in time. And then I would come back home, and then my parents, I'm not married, so I would come back home and parents, and we'll all be having dinner, and constantly this thought comes around, literally for 2 long years, after which my parents said, please, can we have some other conversation on the dinner table. It was so painful for me, I was not able to come out, and somewhere I felt that all the intellectual part of my brain and all the things I that did not really make a difference to me, because I was inside extremely pained, I was not happy. And this pain was so intense and deep that I had to go to so many healers. I had to learn so many things to come out of it. And still, I was not able to come out of it. So that's the time when I realized that the real growth of the person is when you are able to lead a balanced life. When you have the contentment, fulfillment, passion, happiness, let go attitude, forgiveness, prayer, surrenderance, and then all the top intellectual attributes as well. So luckily, God is very kind, and I was going to a conference. There was a conference which was happening, and I just, somehow landed up in a different room, in a wrong room. It was happening in US, and I landed up in a wrong room where they were studying romantic breakups. So I go to the professor and said that, hey, since you're studying romantic breakup, I also have a breakup, but it's a friendship breakup. Is it possible to study my brain and I would just pay out of my pocket for the entire thing? And he says, yes, why not? Let's do that. And that's when, when I started to scan my brain, I did a big MRI called functional MRI. I did a QEEG, quantitative electroencephalogram, fundamentally to figure out that there's an area in the brain which was not functioning well for me, or was lighting up extra, which is not otherwise supposed to be lighted up, which is called the VTA, ventral tegmental area. And the professor sat with me, and as we were chatting, the professor said, "You are a neurologist, you know what this area is doing, right?" I said, "Yes, but this VTA should be lighted up only in heroin addicts, in cocaine addicts. Why is it lighted up for me? I have not had any cocaine or heroin." And that's when this eye-opening thing happened, that my attachment, my love, so-called love, was deep attachment, which was actually an addiction. So that is why my brain was not able to come out of it, and because of which I was very restless, feeling very pained. And then I had to rebuild my brain. I had to re-look at my brain, understand its nuts and bolts, figure out what can I do to break that pattern, break that attachment, and then develop my entire being and self, literally like a new self. That is how my own personal growth journey began. And when I started to learn how to fix it, I had to do all kinds of experiments. So I said, why am I doing all the experiments by myself? I'll take some inspiration from people who have already done it, have been there, done that. So I started to reach out to a lot of people, inviting them onto our lab, Limitless Brain Lab, talking about that. If there is a beautiful, let's say, a journey of experience which they have gone through. Off late, I just interviewed, that's why it's very fresh in my mind. There's this one person whose father underwent a significant medical issue. The father had delusion and almost was about to commit suicide, when she felt that, this is not how the life should be. So what can I do to change the father's life? And then what are the practices that should happen to change not just my feeling bad because the father is suffering, or how to change father's life? And that is how she embraced healing methods. She was into science background, and then completely changed into being a healer. So, and today she's healing millions of people. Her organization is huge, 40, 50 cities across the globe. And so one little change, what stirs you, what changes you, and then you start to look at life from a different perspective. So all these peak performers, all these people, all of them had a unique challenge, a unique mindset, a resilience to fight back and develop their brain, leading to growth and evolution. So that's the beauty.
Wonderful. So, doctor, if I understand correctly, you are saying that neuroplasticity, right? Brain is always changing, and every thought, emotion, and experience shapes its structure, right? So that means we are not fixed. We are fluid. We can change if we want to, if we are ready to do that hard work, right?
Just that it's hard work. Thank you for saying that. It's not as easy as it sounds. Yes, brain is plastic. You can mold it. You can forget your old behaviors. You can break the patterns. You can get into self growth, but needs consistent efforts.
Good to know. But how I'm thinking, some basic things parents should know about how their brain and how their children brain works. Any insights on that?
See, it's very interesting. In the good old days, the parents would say, and that used to be a common dialogue, I didn't get that privilege. Let my child have that privilege. I never went to school in an AC car. Let my child go into the AC car. Why? If a child is eating food and child says, "Oh, I don't like it," because there's so much of resources, leave it. You don't need to finish it. Now, what is the child getting as the subconscious? Life should be very comfortable. Anything that you don't like, you can throw it out. Anything what is not good for you, you don't need to worry about, because another thing will come in all the time. If I, let's say, I have my set of clothes and I have my set of stuff, the things, stationery, etc., and nobody can take that away from me, not even my sibling, not even my friends, etc. These are things that I get attached to, and then in future I start living with living beings. Living beings need not obey all the time, and then the backlash comes in. "Oh, but I thought everything should work according to my whims and fancies." That is when the relationship issues and so many problems come up. So as parents, it is first of all very important, do not try to relate your subconscious impressions to the children's life. They have come not for you, they have come through you. They have come to you for a purpose, and it is your job to not have your subconscious impressions copied into their subconscious. So, the very first thing is be aware. The second important thing, what a parent must understand, is that when they grow, when they evolve, so whatever the practices they may be doing, and a very simple, forget big talk on evolution, very simple thing is, the brain has four fundamental brain waves. As I'm talking to you, you are listening to me, there is fast beta which is firing. The moment I close my eyes, there is a slow rhythm called alpha which comes in. Just before I go to bed, there is even slower rhythm called theta. When I fall asleep, it's delta. Now, if I want to have my brain healthy, I need alpha, beta, theta, and delta all in proportion. So I need to sleep enough for that delta. I need to have that trance state for getting into sleep, which is theta. I need to close my eyes, walk in nature, listen to some classical music, develop that alpha, and beta is anyways automatically developing. Now 5 minutes in the entire day, we need to ask ourselves, do we give ourselves even 5 minutes closing our eyes, building that alpha? Answer is absolutely no. When I go to workshops, I ask people, do a day audit. How much time are you building your alpha? And they say maybe 1 minute, maybe half a minute. The moment you go to bed, that's not counted as alpha because that gets into theta. So when you evolve, when your brain functions evolve, your wiring evolves, automatically mirroring happens to the children, and automatically they will gain that as well. The third important thing in the parenting context is you always relate because you had gone through your childhood, your wiring had been, in such a way, your parents had certain attributes which was given to you. You always have the parenting from those mindset and beliefs which is sort of hardwired and hard coded. So as a parent, no parent will come and say that can I go to a parenting school, let me learn the proper parenting tools, let me go through that parent. So it's sometimes all about intuition, sometimes about the gut feeling of it, sometimes it's the subconscious beliefs and impressions of it, sometimes it's just the nurture part of it which comes naturally. Why can't there be some little science instilled into the art of parenting with the science of parenting? Because that has never happened, and thankfully now it is happening. I saw a lot of parents going into a preconception school, and then the garbha sanskar or the conception school, and then sitting together talking to the baby, and then 0 to 3, there are some 0 to 5, there are some fantastic startups which are coming up in the space, and then finally nothing happens, you just tell chat gpt and get some advice about how what to do when a child is throwing a tantrum. But yes, so parenting has to be a conscious effort. It is a constantly evolving and learning thing that a parent has to do, and it has to be also modulated based on what the child is responding or reacting. Hence it is all about personal growth, it is all about evolution.
Dr. Shweta, a lot of things were coming to my mind when I was reflecting back on my parenting journey. So I wanted to live my dream through my kids, but hey, I learned hard way. They are individual on their own journey with their own strength. They don't need to meet my expectations or fulfill my dreams. So you're absolutely right. Whatever I am learning, I am doing that subconsciously or consciously. My kids are watching me. So I felt parenting is a very responsible job. And as
100%.
Yep, and it's like everlasting because one phase of life doesn't mean you're done with your parenting. The next phase will come and teach you new things. So that personal growth, as you're saying, I learned a lot in my parenting journey, and I feel thankful to my kids for making me grow as a better person.
Absolutely.
Yep. So what?
Absolutely. It's a two-way process, it's never a one-way street as we understand, because the children's behavior will again sort of throw a light. In fact, people want to marry also for that reason that, you want to expand your consciousness, your understanding. You want to have children also for that evolution. It's a subconscious thing that is never articulated, but that is why we want to have babies, or we want a family.
So, what are some brain smart habits we can all start using to grow?
So very, it's not that difficult. Brain is like little maths. The moment you understand what are the key elements of the brain, you understand that all these things are super, super duper easy, because every single brain needs, every single part, every single wave needs a little modulation. So on my channel at Dr. Sweta Adatia, we have lots of such tools posted on YouTube. We have closely about 11 million views. We have roughly 60 million impressions. So we do a lot of work in this space and building our own tools as well. So let me give you for this episode a tool very easy to remember. It's called Movers. Movers. M for meditation, spending at least 5 to 6 minutes building that alpha and theta, because in a deep meditation you build that theta. Theta gives creativity, calmness, focus, centeredness, new ideas, vision, tomorrow, feeling of completely out of the box opportunities. That is theta. O for oxygenation, breathing well, because breathing well or pranayama means you will live longer. Your vagus nerve, the longest nerve, is going to kick fast, which is the parasympathetic, which means you will digest well, you will rest well, your body's processes will happen well, you'll feel again calm, centered, focused. So, O for oxygenation. We visualize. For the brain, visualization and actualization is not different. The brain produces the same chemicals even when the brain is visualizing. If before a task you visualize how it is going to be, there's a likelihood that you are less stressed because all the good chemicals have already flown in. So visualize how your kid has to be. Visualize how your kid's life is going to be. Every single day, visualize what the kid is going to have the best in the next month, and visualize also for yourself. Who are you? Where are you going? What is going to happen to you? Spending 5 minutes doing that. Exercise obviously cannot be discounted. Physical fitness is key. R for reading something affirmative. My biggest this is never get up in the morning and go to your digital screens. Never sleep with your digital screens, because that is actually making an idling rhythm in your brain, which is not allowing the brains to function, the waves to function well, and actually killing your neurons or brain cells. People do want a good bank balance, but they never talk about brain balance. If you have a good brain balance, automatically your bank balance, even if it will go, it will come back. So the cognitive currency is very precious, very important to give time to build it. R for reading something affirmative, as I said, but in the morning, generally, because you take on that subconsciously and then that sort of resonates within your brain. I have a practice of gratitude also, even when I'm sleeping at night. I have my gratitude practice along with visualization, very powerful. Just saying thank you to anything that came in, any trouble also which came in, difficulties that came in. It can help to rewire. The last S, but not the least, I call it the red book, which is scribing, which means journal everything which you don't want in your life. I feel very scared. What will happen? There's an insecurity about my kid. Write it down. You want to let go, and that is called catharsis. You want to empty. It's like a Trojan horse, virus which is in your computer. You want to let go of all the viruses. It behaves like that antivirus. So a green book or a green diary is welcoming all the things that you want, and then red diary is releasing it and shunning everything what you don't want. That's it. Simple, very effective. 5 minutes each into the bucket, 25 minutes in total, changing the brain and then changing the life. Movers.
I will remember that, Dr. Shweta, the movers. And, when you were talking, the secret, that movie came, the law of
Mhm.
attraction, right? I am big on gratitude myself. That attitude of gratitude is so important. And I am
Absolutely.
big on mindfulness. In fact, at my company, I am a certified coach and I do lead mindfulness sessions. And it has been a life changing for me. I learned hard way, that whole work-life balance you are talking about. I do not start my day with digital devices. My first thing in the
Beautiful.
morning, sitting in silence, doing that affirmation, big part of my life. After every hour, just taking 1 minute for doing that deep breathing, reaffirming I am happy, I am healthy, I am safe, I am free. So
Beautiful. Beautiful.
those habits, definitely, as you're saying, spend time with yourself, the most important person. Who is the most important person or friend in your life? Your own self. So I learned hard way, but I'm glad your science is also telling all that to our parents and our listeners. I wanted to ask you one more question. How can parents use neuroscience to help their kids develop healthy identities and strong minds?
See, a strong mind, as we mentioned before, is so crucial. You may have all the best of intellects, but if you don't develop all the CQs, the creativity quotient, the emotional quotient, the spiritual quotient, that is basically a strong mind. A weak mind gets addicted. A weak mind gets into the whirlpool of all the emotional drama and the problems which comes in. A weak mind is not capable and confident. So to build a strong mind is to build that brain set and the mindset which is right from the start. All the things that we talked about, right from getting the environment corrected, the building of the mirror neurons, making sure that right practices is practiced in the family, the right attitude, because all these concepts are very, very mathematical. If I observe, let me give you an example. If I am watching something on a television, let's say there's a dance show which is going on television, versus I go and watch a live dance show, the number of the neurons or the brain cells which are firing in me while I'm watching the real dance show and the dancer's brain, there is a similarity. So I'm almost firing the same neurons as what the dancer is firing. But when I'm in front of the television, I'm only firing a single rhythm called idling rhythm. So there I'm building my brain. Here I'm actually damaging my brain. So very, very simple things which I can have from mirror neurons, the belief system which I'm building, the power of subconscious, the power of the communication between a parent and a kid has to be understood a little bit again fundamentally from the ancient wisdom. In the ancient wisdom, there used to be a very beautiful Sanskrit way of talking about what a parenting should be. It was called as Ladayet in the first 0 to 5, Tadayet, which means a little bit of discipline, and then Mitravet. So you just become friends with them. You Mitrayet. So you are close with them. Because after the age of 13 or 14, don't try to bring discipline. It is going to backfire. So having these principles, because that is how the brain is forming identity. You spoke about the identity. There's a sudden, sharp change in that hormones, which is giving them the self identity. So you cannot talk the same way as you are talking an 8-year-old to a 13-year-old, because by that 13-year-old identity, I have my friends, I have my thing, what I have a say, and that identity is always seeking validations. And you as a parent are not able to validate that, because you are not able to let go and drop off that 8-year-old self of that child. The child will seek validation externally. The child will fall prey to all the peer pressures. So being mindful that when these changes are happening, you have to also fluidly accommodate those changes. Always respect the brain's growth in that 13 to 18, and that is the reason why our startup is between 13 and 18, because it's a very, very difficult age also for the parent, because now they said, oh, 0 to 13 all this works, so now 13 to 18 also all the same techniques are going to work, which never works. So that is why they have to rebuild their own strategies, rebuild their mindsets, rebuild their visualization and protocols. And as I said, there are no accidents in parenting. It has to be incidentally planned. You learn, you grow, you evolve, and then carry forward the entire beautiful evolutionary perspective for raising amazing children.
Dr. Shweta, this has been absolutely eye-opening. I think so many parents will walk away with not just new tools, but a new way of seeing themselves and their children. Parents, if you want to understand more and you want to experience all the beautiful things Dr. Shweta is talking about, this is the time to walk the talk and go for the book what Dr. Shweta wrote. It's going to be building a successful life, not only for you, but for your children. So the book name is Future Ready. It's practical, powerful, and rooted in science. Thanks for joining us on this podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind to your brain, and keep growing from the inside out. Dr. Shweta, thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Punam. Thank you so much to all the people listening.
Thank you again.
You are listening to Mindful, Beautiful, and Thriving, a podcast series by Tharaka Foundation. As part of our youth series, we will be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure to continue to check those out. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you so much for listening.